very excited to talk about this next theme, and which is my meditation series, which is coming up in just 2 days. So I wanted to share a bunch of information, not only about the course, but about like how I came to this specific place because it's a really funny story. But I'm going to wait here just 1 minute before I tell about this series. Mm, Let me see here. Okay, here. All right. Well, yeah, I'm just waiting for a couple people to jump on and yeah, tell my story. So, yeah, so this whole meditation series, I feel kind of funny because I've been teaching on my lecture series, how consciousness ascends, and just a whole variety of spiritual concepts. I've been teaching for the last 4 or 5 or 6 years. But how I've gotten all of that information, nearly all of it, is through meditation, is through this process of learning how to connect to your higher power, learning how to connect to the pathway directly to God and everything in between. And when you connect to those energies, those connections, you can have any question answered. But it's learning that process of how to organize your mind, how to organize your emotions so that you could make these connections, so that you can go into these deeper and deeper spaces. So, yeah, so that's my inspiration about this because, when I sit down to meditate, because it's really different because when you really start meditating, it's really difficult in the beginning. As I've said before, it's kind of like a reverse video game where the most difficult boss is the start. It's the very first stage, and that's the most troubling. That's the most challenges. Not being able to sit for very long, not understanding how to clear your mind, and just having, chaotic thoughts run through, and you don't really know what you're doing yet. But over time, you learn how to create stillness. You learn how to settle and slow the waves within your whole being. And then you open up the window that which clarity has given you, and you allow for higher sensory to emerge. Now, through meditation, you have to be in charge of your own catalyst, your own ability to spark yourself and grow. And that's why I have the group healing offering, because people need catalysts to allow the flame that I possess to transfer to others. And that flame burns inside, opens you up, and you get to allow the perceptional doors to get just a little bit wider. But over time, meditation is the most important thing because that's how you continue to refine who you are, uh, to go deeper, to really connect with that true self, and then to the highest of the highs through God. And there's just so many different directions that you can go in meditation. That's really what I want to teach on, is like this 4 week course is going to lay it down like this is how you find the path to these incredible states of consciousness. And the very first one is a course called not a course, it's a topic called self inquiry versus meditation. And this is what's really interesting because though for all these years I had been doing a process known as self inquiry, not necessarily just meditation where you're just sitting down and you're just making yourself become nothing. That's all fine and dandy, but it's boring. It's boring, and because there's so many things you can do when you're active, when you're in a active state of exploration and advancing your own consciousness. And you do this through a process called self-inquiry, which basically is you're observing the self inwardly, and you're finding all the nooks and crannies of space that you haven't opened up yet within your mind, within your body. So like you close your eyes, you go inwards, and for most of us, you just sit there and your awareness is kind of trapped right in your head, right in your head. But eventually you begin to knock down the walls and you begin to open up your entire essence of your whole energy field. So you're becoming all of your awareness, your whole body from your head all the way to your toes. You're beginning to open up all of your senses. And when you find all these nooks and crannies and all these empty spaces, it's this incredible roller coaster of a journey, especially when you begin to open up the advanced energies of the body, of the third eye, and the deep energies of the heart. Because that's when it starts to get into a really just magical experience in which you can feel emotions and feelings that just literally don't have definitions, but they're mostly related to just these deep states of serenity and peace that are akin to just having time stop, and then you're just this glowing orb of awareness, but that's a process. That's a process, and it takes time to learn how to unwind yourself to be able to get in those states. And that is what I want to help teach people, is like these are a few different directions when you go in meditation. It's not just you sit down, clear your mind, and you just be. It's not just that. There's so much more to the equation that adds a journey of a lifetime. When you sit down, learn how to close your eyes, learn how to sit, and learn how to place focus. So that's that first week, is learning about meditation versus learning about self-inquiry. Self-inquiry is how I did it. I learned from that term. I learned from one of the greats of the early 19th century, Sri Ramana Maharishi, where I read one of his or listened to one of his dissertations, and it just something clicked in me, and I did and practice what he was preaching, and it was just like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been doing. And it allowed for this huge growth and boost in my understanding, my insights into the whole process of what you can do. All right, so that is the first week, and let me jump on here and see, because I'm on a different type of stream right now. So let me see who's going on here. Got the chats. How's it going, everyone? Let me see if I can pull up, because I'm on like this different program, so I can't quite see what's happening on uh, the live chats and who's in this and everything. So let me go ahead and 1 second, take a look over here. Oh, greetings from Florida. How are you, Hector? It's my old home. Timothy, how's it going? And I'll have a link here for those who want to join. I'll go ahead and put it right here on this right here, and I'll continue my talk. I love meditation. I don't know where I'd be without meditation. I started to get the vibe fairly recently when I was talking to people about meditation. They were telling me their experiences, and I was just kind of like, wow, if that's all I got from meditation, I don't know if I'd be doing it anymore. So I was like, I'm on a level in which, I can sit down with a very short period of time, just literally become nothing, completely dissolve your sense of. It's kind of a paradox where you dissolve your body and you're your pure awareness, but you're also extremely grounded, which is another difficult challenge that a lot of people have trouble with, because they want to go out of body. But I learned very early on that you have to pull that energy back, so you can be this balance of being, completely dissolved of physicality, but also be very, very connected to your physicality. Anywho, yeah, hey Don, how's it going from Texas? It's hot down there. I know you guys feel the pain. Okay, so yeah, that's week one, everyone. Week one is like you learn the basis of, like, when you sit down, you're going to learn all the directions of the paths you can take in meditation. You can take the path of going completely out of body, where a lot of astral projection practitioners do, lucid dreaming, things like that. You learn the path of um, merging with unity. You have the path of embodying your kundalini. You have the path of connecting with God. You have the path of connecting with very specific emotions that lead you to the next frame of consciousness, the next level of consciousness. So there's these emotional keys, these emotional qualities of meditation, um, that all lead you somewhere. So it's a really fascinating puzzle when I really started to see the bigger picture of how everything fits together, how learning to just be quiet, clear your mind, how learning about what are you really, what's the true nature of yourself, to learning the different emotions that propel your awareness into harmony, which is the key for many of us because we're on a path of harmony, but we don't know how to necessarily get there. And there are particular emotions that carry the wisdom within their vibration, meaning you just have to access these very specific emotions, and then the wisdom will just pop out the more you learn to embody those energies. So, and the next week over here, the gong in the back, that is a 44-inch wind gong. That's a 44-inch wind gong. Very lovely gong. As you know, all gongs are unique, and this one is a beautiful one. All right, everyone. Everyone's so cool. Okay, so yeah, next week we're going on, and that's week two, deconstructing the mind. Now, the mind is everything. The mind is connected to every facet of the journey. When you think about meditation, when you think about just your perception in life, the mind is attached to every single dimension. And it's the beast that we have to learn how to tame every moment, every second, because the mind, if not kept in check, will just spiral you to all types of weird realities and perceptions that you might not want to be in. So the mind, it really is a difficult journey in learning how to keep it contained, keep it clear, especially when you want to sit down. When we're running through life, going through all our normal everyday experiences, you know, your mind's doing its thing. But when you sit down, that's when you really want to have control and the discipline to get it done, to sit down and get all the checks and balances in place so you can actually achieve and experience energies, states of consciousness to help you move forward. We're all in a path of moving forward, every one of us. But when you get in meditation, you can drastically increase the rate at which you evolve. It is just night and day from someone who never sits down, who has never meditated in their entire life. They're only going to evolve to a certain level in the perspective of the totality of everything we can do with the human mind. It's obviously not including like working the physical body and achieving those types of goals. But in regards to the mind and how far it can be expanded, this is all new territory, folks. This is all new muscles we're learning to open. And when you get to those some of these stages of consciousness, you're just like, wow, everything becomes magic. Your whole life and perception changes for the better. So when you learn about the mind, you learn one of the most important things we're going to learn in that week is what your focus is, where to place your focus, and how to construct your focus. Believe it or not, when you close your eyes, you probably don't even recognize that you have focus and attention, in that there's a shape to it. There's a shape to your focus and attention, and there's a way in which you can, grow your focus and expand your attention, and when you learn how to contain that, that's when things really begin to accelerate even more rapidly. So we're gonna learn about our attention, our focus, and where to place it, how to build it. Super important. Honestly, it can't be done. It can't be done without learning how to maximize the amount of focus and power you have. So, build like a little laser beam. It reminds me of, like, when you have a magnifying glass and you allow the sun to hit that magnifying glass with the right precision, it can start a fire. That's exactly what happens when you have the lens of your focus directed in the proper way. It creates incredible change. This huge catalyst of growth happens when you learn how to properly refine your focus. Week 3, the spectrum of the heart. Always have to have that one because that's the harmony that we're looking for. We have a third dimensional awareness, and within that awareness, we're in the state of disharmony all the time. This state of just chaos within the human mind. But there are particular emotions of the heart, that's why I call it the spectrum of the heart, that bring harmonic order to your past, to your present, and to your future. Everything exists in that present moment. And when you maximize the spectrum of the heart, it can harmonize past, present, and future. You bring everything into one and just gets more magical, just gets more magical. So that's a huge one because that is the goal of us in the third dimension is to become master of love. And what does it take to achieve love? How can we harmonize the relationships that we've had with ourselves and with others? So we're gonna learn the spectrum of the heart and how that relates to the bigger picture and all that harmony. And lastly is my favorite. Now this is my favorite. It's kind of funny because I really don't like that term. I don't like this term fifth dimensional energy, but I have to use it because it's true. These are the fifth dimensional energies. It's just that modern mainstream new spiritual philosophy, they use that 5D in the wrong way. Now that's another video for another time, but I follow the order of the law of one, how the law of one describes the dimensions, they do it perfectly. They say, we're in the 3rd dimension right here." What's the 3rd dimension about? You know, it relates to our consciousness, it relates to the 3rd energy center. That's energy of choice. We're in the dimension of choice. It's the duality of choosing right and wrong, up and down, good or bad, and when you are in this dimension of choice, you make choices, they give you an experience, they give you an emotion, and then you learn to refine your choices based on the experiences you have in that present moment. So this is the dimension of choice, which harmonizes your consciousness. So how do you harmonize your consciousness with your choices? Well, the next dimension up is the 4th dimension, which is the heart. Become a master of the next dimension of energy. So all this talk on how, oh, we're merging into 5D with 5D Earth. It's not 5D Earth. You're merging into 4D Earth, where now raise up out of the 3D, raise into 4D. And that 4D is all about the spectrum of the heart, the spectrum of the green ray, love, compassion, empathy. And you learn the next lessons of 5th dimensional energy. So that's a little short story on how those dimensions work because it's really important. It's really important. And the next thing is yeah, so that's spectrum of heart, 5th dimensional energies. Now this is the most important part of the course. Because these particular energies, these particular emotions, these fifth dimensional energies, this is where all of the wisdom exists for us in these 5D energies, these very specific energies and perceptions that literally yield the most incredible states of wisdom. And I tell you this, everyone skips and say, "Oh, I'm unified, I'm unity, I have no ego, I'm one with everything." I'm just nothing, and they skip all the lessons, and they try to just dissolve themselves into nothingness and say, "I'm beyond it all, I've transcended human ego, I've transcended emotion and this and that and this and that," and they have skipped an enormous amount of learning because we aren't meant to just be off in the caves dissolving the ego into nothingness and not speak to anyone. Now, the most important lessons in wisdom, they don't come from unity necessarily for our frame of consciousness. They come from the moments before unity, in which you are still a human, you're still having your individualized, separate experience, but yet you are giving your energy to something else. So, for instance, the state of, let's say, devotion, the wisdom through devotion, in which you dissolve all of yourself in this loving reverence for something else. So, there's this state of which there is still separation. It's not full unity. When you learn to master that realm of still being individual, but still recognizing, um, the other aspect, that's where an enormous amount of wisdom lies in this dimension. So, we go over the whole fifth dimensional spectrum and, energies that can literally take you to the next level of consciousness. So, my friends, that's going to be this meditation 4-week course. Really excited about it because I have just been getting in the most incredible, blissful states of consciousness, kundalini, spontaneous risings, just indescribable connections with spirit and with God, with the creator, and just everything in between. And I want to show people this is how you do it. This is how you empower yourself. This is what you do. This is the order. This is saving you an enormous amount of time, an enormous amount of time. And each one of these classes, we talk about the lecture, and then after that, we do a group guided meditation. It's going to be so lovely because I had a test run of this offering, and it went so well. It was so powerful. And for those of you who do my group healing, it was very similar to that, except that, you're learning to kind of bring that energy into yourself versus the channeled connection. So it's the energy's gonna hit you in a new way. It's gonna be really nice. It's gonna be really nice. So I'm really excited to share with everybody. So, that's gonna do it, everyone. So this is coming up on, Wednesday, so 2 days from now, my 4-week meditation course. So if you want any more info, feel free to message me. Otherwise, I have a link on here, it should be on here. Yeah. There's a link on there if you wanna join, and yeah, so that will do it, everyone. Thank you all for joining. Thanks for tuning in. Pamela, Dawn, Cindy, thank you. Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Um, thank you for sharing that experience, Cindy. It definitely helps people. It definitely helps people kinda see what we're working with, and, it's tough, the more I go down this path, I realize that these spiritual experiences, I learned to really have appreciation for them because they don't happen, like, every day all the time, and when you share them with someone else, it's really magical. That's a big part of what, my initial spark of inception was when I had my spiritual awakening was, man, when I first got connected to the divine spirit, I was like, "Wow, all I want to do is bask in this energy with people. How can I help people understand their mind, understand energy so we can bask in this lovely bliss together?" Mm, that was the true inspiration back in the day. Well, that'll do it. Okay, so I'll be around. I look forward to Wednesday. Talk to you soon.